All right, this one's about how to deal with an irritating situation or irritating people. A lot of times this has something to do with people that are incompetent. Like people feel self-righteous in railing against incompetence. They feel justified in it because we all generally accept the fact that incompetence isn't that great. It's generally accepted as not good. In my experience, this crops up a lot whenever you're on the phone doing, trying to pay a bill or through some kind of bureaucratic malfeasance or ineptitude. You end up with, trying to jump through hoops to do something like pay a bill, and it's just not coming together. With credit card companies, insurance, medical stuff. And it's very easy to slide into an aspect of your personality that one of my clients referred to as irritation mode. Or, I might refer to it as the tyrannical king, or I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. Put a gentle category on it is ideal. Just like with most things, one of the appropriate responses is to get some perspective, notice it, notice yourself going into that mode. Because what's happening is you are falling into a pattern of neurons. I mean, if someone was to scan your brain at that time, the same irritation mode that you're in, the same tyrannical king that you've embodied, is it's the same one every time. Every time you contact the bank, if there's an issue, or a credit card company, or the government. A lot of times you're trying to call like the government and get somebody on the phone. You're pressing buttons for, press this for this, this for that, and you just want to talk to a representative. But anyway, just like with most things, the Buddhist notion of getting some perspective, recognizing what aspect of your personality is coming to the fore. And the way you need to understand this is almost in a religious manner, because if you're acting out that behavior, you are worshiping that God. Like if you understand that from a certain perspective, the gods that the Greeks talked about, and potentially most of the gods that are talked about, are really just sub-personalities. They're sort of permanent, transcendent portions of your mind and other people's mind, and they light up in particular situations, almost in a harmonic way. Like if reality sings at a certain chord, the sub-personality within your mind will respond at a harmonious chord. And so it's very easy to just automatically, without thinking, unconsciously, embody a certain sub-personality. If you understand them as gods, in essence, what you're doing is you're worshiping that god. And you want to be careful which gods you worship, because as you do that, as you embody that sub-personality for, let's say, irritation mode, you are strengthening the neurons to that portion of your mind. And so if you want to become irritation mode more and more, spend a larger and larger portion of your life being irritated, then by all means, embody the irritation mode. Fire up those neurons. Fire up that bundle of nerves associated with irritation mode. And each time you do, those nerves will get stronger, they'll get thicker, there'll be more of them, and it will become more and more part of your personality. This is also the way addiction works, by the way. Like if you embody the addiction mode, if you embody the sub-personality, a little mischievous sub-personality associated with saying, F it, I'm just gonna have that beer, I'm gonna do that drug, whatever it is. Each time you do it, it gets stronger and stronger, and pretty soon it becomes you. You become largely that addictive sub-personality, whichever one. And they have different flavors. That's why whenever you're dealing with an addict, you can generally, based on the way their behavior is, kind of guess what it is that is possessing them, which one of those demons is possessing them. But anyway, if you're irritated because you're talking to someone at a bank or with the government or whoever, it's best to handle it with grace. And the idea there is, do not embody irritation mode. Get some perspective and try and take on an alternative, harmonious sub-personality. Because you don't want to lie. You want to be truthful. And so one of the responses that is harmonious is irritation mode. After all, they are being incompetent, and so they deserve your wrath. But another also harmonious sub-personality is a bit of compassion and understanding that person probably has a rough life, probably rougher than yours. Answering the phone for angry people all the time it's not a great job generally. There's a way to do it with grace. You can do that with grace as well, but have some pity on those poor souls. Try to be a light in their day, because the majority of people are not going to. And at the end of the day, what you'll end up having done is, rather than embodying the irritation mode, you'll have embodied the spirit of the logos, the spirit of loving truthfulness. You're gonna try and be a bit compassionate with the person, but also be truthful. You gotta have that shroud of truth involved. And in doing so, you are, number one, harmoniously interacting with reality. There's a reason why music is so loved by people. People love harmony, and that is a reflection of how your subconscious wants the various aspects of your mind to interact with the world. It wants it to be a harmonious symphony, and so you can be that harmonious symphony. But rather than the kind of automatic response of irritation mode, you want to respond in potentially a bit more of a compassionate way. You want to stand up for yourself. You don't want to be a pushover, obviously, but there is a harmonious path that is also not kind of destructive towards you, because a lot of times these negative emotions that we feel, like irritation, they are destructive in a sense. Like they do not make you feel stronger. They tend to sap you of energy. And as Nietzsche would put it, I think he was a worshiper of life. And part of what that means is that the subpersonalities, the aspects of yourself that you want to bring to the fore and live in, are the life-affirming ones, the ones that seek life, not the ones that seek death or seek destruction. Although, that being said, just to be perfectly balanced, there is a time for seeking those types of things. That's why you have those subpersonalities. Sometimes it's time to be nihilistic. Sometimes it's time to be death-seeking. I mean, for instance, like when you go to sleep, in essence, you're seeking unconsciousness. You're seeking the big sleep. You're practicing that notion of lights out. And so, certain times a day, that's the appropriate thing to do. And certain times in life, that's the appropriate thing to do. Just a quick aside, I've probably talked about this before. If you're in a foxhole with your brothers in arms and someone tosses a grenade in, you want one of the folks in that foxhole to embody the hero that sacrifices himself for his brothers and put his helmet over that grenade and hop on top of it. You want him to be nihilistic and death-seeking in that moment, but you want to do it shrouded in love, shrouded in the logos. If you're death-seeking and you're not, then if you're not shrouded in the love and you're death-seeking, boy, you're in trouble. Things are not going to work out well in all likelihood. So anyway, yeah, that's how to deal with irritation. Try not to embody irritation mode. Try not to embody the tyrannical king. Try to get some perspective, fly above what's going on, kind of like Horus flying over the landscape, the falcon that flies over the landscape with the eye that notices. Notice it, put a gentle category on it, sort of like Marduk putting a net over that which is chaotic or that which is new and unknown, and then try to use true words for it. Identify, oh, that's irritation mode, and then you can, and I don't know the mythological way to represent this, but then you embody another portion of your personality that is still harmonious and still truthful, but potentially not destructive. So closer to compassion in all likelihood. Like if you're irritated with someone, especially because they're incompetent, maybe you should be compassionate that either they're not as intelligent or sophisticated as you, or perhaps they are in a situation where they are forced, they've got bad tools given to them. Sometimes when you work for the government, you're not given the best tools and you just struggle along with what you have. Or sometimes if you work for a bank, I assume it's the same way if you work for a credit card company. But have some compassion for the other person. They're struggling for whatever reason, and you don't have to add insult to injury.